Magandang umaga, Malacañang Press Corps at welcome sa ating press briefing ngayong Martes, August 20, 2024. On August 6, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. appointed former Department of Energy Undersecretary Alexander Lopez as spokesperson of the National Maritime Council, or NMC. A graduate of the Philippine Military Academy, Mr. Lopez also served as the commander of the Western Command and Deputy Chief of Staff for Education and Training of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. He is now tasked to speak on behalf of the NMC on issues related to the West Philippine Sea. To further introduce our new spokesperson, we have with us Presidential Assistant for Maritime Concerns, General Andres Centeno. Good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming. As mentioned earlier, the President has appointed the spokesperson of the National Maritime Council in the person of Vice Admiral Alexander Lopez. His designation to the position is in line with the directive to have a unified messaging on issues related to the West Philippine Sea. Prior to his designation as the spokesperson, he has served for 38 years in the military service, culminating in his becoming the commander of the Western Command, which covers the West Philippine Sea. And after his retirement from the military service, he continued to serve the government as Undersecretary of the Department of Energy. His designation authorizes him to speak in behalf of the National Maritime Council and without prejudice, of course, to the roles of the different spokespersons of the agencies under the National Maritime Council. And it is my role as directed by the Chair of the National Maritime Council to introduce to the public and to the media the designated spokesperson of the National Maritime Council, Vice Admiral Alexander Lopez.
Thank you very much, Secretary Centeno. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Thank you, Secretary Centeno, for a very good introduction. So I need not introduce myself anymore. But nonetheless, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our President for giving me this, again, privilege and honor of serving our country, this time in my capacity as the spokesperson of the National Maritime Council. So before I read our statement with regard to the incident of 19 August, allow me to mention that yesterday, the National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea reported to our public, to our stakeholders, through a press statement detailing factual details on what happened in 19 August. So the purpose of this press briefing is one, we are talking at the level of the Maritime National Council, policy level. Two, we are echoing the report of the National Task Force. Third, we are also conveying to our stakeholders, both external and internal, some other insights or inputs that would clear the air further, what violations the Chinese Coast Guard did in that fateful morning. Fourth, we'd like to express the position of our government with regard to that particular incident. And lastly, it is also a basis for further actions of our government with regard to that incident. So with that as a backgrounder, let me now read the statement of the National Maritime Council on 19 August incident. The Philippine Coast Guard, using BRP Bagakay or MRRV 4410 and BRP Cape Engaño MRV 4411, conducted a regular and routine logistics mission in the West Philippine Sea in 18 August 2024. The early morning of 19 August, the Chinese Coast Guard vessels rammed and damaged the two Philippine Coast Guard vessels in the vicinity of Escoda Shoal. These unprofessional and dangerous actions of the Chinese Coast Guard vessels were in violation of international law, including UNCLOS and the 1972 Convention on the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, all called regs. These illegal actions do not contribute to confidence-building measures necessary for the improvement of relations on the basis of mutual respect and for a rules-based international order. Hence, the Philippines urges China to refrain from aggressive actions and adhere to international law. The Philippines expresses serious concern over the deliberate harassment and infringement by China against Philippine sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction in the West Philippine Sea. The government remains committed to the President's directive for a diplomatic approach in a peaceful resolution of disputes. The Philippines will continue to uphold its rights and jurisdictions in the West Philippine Sea, sustain our routine maritime activities, and protect its territory and maritime zones from environmental degradation and other illegal activities. So that's our press statement. Thank you very much and good morning.
Thank you very much, Vice Admiral Lopez. We will now open the floor to questions from the media. Harley Valbuena, DZME.
Hello, good morning po. Vice Admiral, you said that the August 19 incident will be a basis for further action. So what specific action are we talking about?
One of those options that we are considering, as you all know, in any activities naman in the past, our Department of Foreign Affairs would probably file a diplomatic protest or not verbal. And this is seriously being studied by the Department of Foreign Affairs.
And Soberano, Bombo Radio.
Admiral Lopez, sir. Sorry po, dito po ako. Sir, 3 beses na pong nagkaroon ng mga violenting incident na ginagawa po ng China. Sir, puro na lang po ba tayo diplomatic? Wala po ba tayong gagawing tugon doon sa pagiging agresibo po ng mga Chinese Coast Guard laban sa mga barko ng Pilipinas? Thank you.
Well, in line with the President's directive, no? Kasi if we would be going beyond diplomatic or peaceful approach, you can just imagine, no? Maybe if you're referring to more kinetic actions, that would not be to the best interest of our country and of China, and even in the region. So we're looking at this approach. We can never go wrong by using this diplomatic and peaceful approach. And we are compliant, no, to the Code of Conduct that we have signed in 2002, that among others, parties will exercise restraint in the conduct of activities that would complicate or even escalate the dispute in the area, among others.
Maricel Halili, TV5.
Sir, magandang umaga po. Sir, I understand there was a negotiation between the Philippines and China, I think it was last month, to ensure na magiging maayos yung operation sa Ayungin Shoal. Pero nakita natin nangyari ito sa Escoda. So, what's your assessment with the negotiation? Do we still find it useful?
Definitely it is useful because of that understanding that we had with China. It's just a matter of, kasi yung understanding din was focused on the rowing missions in Ayungin Shoal. We did not expect that this thing will happen between Coast Guards. You know, the personality of the Coast Guards, part of their innate functions, is safety of life and property at sea, among others, right? And we just sila mismo yung magpapatupad, and yet they were the ones who made these aggressive actions. No? So, diba, it's 180-degree, right, of what they are supposed to do and what we have done in the morning of 19 August.
So what's our plan?
So, okay. Maybe that's one area where maybe the scope of the understanding between the two countries, baka this is being seriously studied by our Department of Foreign Affairs, baka pwedeng ma-extend in other areas in our maritime domain.
Meaning the whole West Philippine Sea, yung kasama doon sa EEZ natin, sir?
Yes, maybe. Again, that's part of the study, whether it would merit coverage of maybe a bigger area or maybe the entire. So we leave it to the Department of Foreign Affairs because they are the principal agent in handling these things.
And one more thing, sir, kasi after the incident, naglabas din ng statement yung China saying na Pilipinas na naman yung may mali at tayo na naman yung merong aggressive action. May we have your take on that?
Actually, the Philippine Coast Guard is just gathering all the evidence, all the pieces of evidence that would debunk the claim of China. And even, di ba, nakita nyo, they showed a video, parang the intent of that is to tell the world na oh, kita mo, kami ang binangga ng China, ng Philippines rather. But again, we'll just wait for all the documents, pictures and videos that the Philippine Coast Guard will release, maybe later on, showing otherwise. And it's just a matter of, ang problema kasi, what the Coast Guard vessels at the ground, the lies that their assets on the ground are issuing, pagdating sa taas, kine-carry. Kung titignan nyo, it's this whole halos parehong words, parehong statement. But in contrary, we are very deliberate in coming up with factual details so that, it's our more responsibility to our public and to a certain extent to our international audience that this is really what happened. Then let the public decide.
And if I may add, the Coast Guard has been directed to gather all these evidences and the proper documentation for a possible filing of protest by the Foreign Affairs.
Ivan Mayrina, GMA Integrated News.
Vice Admiral Lopez, sir, in response to Harley's question, you said that further action would mean filing a diplomatic protest. But the President himself said last month that we should be doing more than just filing protests. Can you tell us what the President perhaps meant by doing more? Ano pa ho kaya yung pwede natin gawin apart from filing diplomatic protests?
Yeah, I really cannot second guess what the other actions the President would like, no? Kasi again, it's with the Department of Foreign Affairs to recommend what other possible actions consistent with, the diplomatic and peaceful approach. So basically, that would rebound into that thing.
On another point, as to your role as spokesperson for the National Maritime Council, where do you draw the line between your role and the role of the spokesperson for the National Task Force West Philippine Sea?
Yes, as Secretary Centino has mentioned a while ago, it's very clear that my role, I will be at the policy level, that's my role. So the spokespersons of the lower agencies will speak on their behalf, speak on their mandate. For example, if there is a spokesperson for the Coast Guard affairs in the West Philippine Sea, he will just speak on matters of the Coast Guard activities in the West Philippine Sea. In like manner, kung AFP naman, they will speak on military defense matters on the West Philippine Sea. And no policy matters will be discussed at their level. Kasi nasa level namin yun, no? Kasi sometimes when things are being said inaccurately, so nagkakaroon ng di ba, is hindi maganda sa pananaw at pandinig ng ating tambayan, and even to our legislature.
And you believe that aligns with our objective for
Definitely.
unified messaging with regard to the West Philippine Sea?
Definitely.
Mikhail Flores, Reuters.
Hi. Good morning. Admiral Lopez, what necessitated the appointment of a spokesperson at the National Maritime Council? You mentioned that, Secretary Centino mentioned that there is a need for unified messaging. So what were the events prior, or what were the precursors that triggered the appointment of a spokesperson at your level, at the policy level?
My apologies. No, siguro that question will be ably answered by Secretary Centino, because they're the ones who conceptualized this, and they're the ones who came up with this order appointment. Maybe I think the Secretary Centino will be the better person to answer that.
You may recall that previously, after the second Maritime Council meeting, there was a press conference. It was the chairman of the Council, Secretary Bersamin, who spoke in behalf of the Council. And succeeding statements were also given by the members of the Council. And they saw it fit that the Council should have its own spokesperson. So, in line with what I've said, unified messaging on matters of policy in regard to the issues in the West Philippine Sea, it is only fitting that a designated spokesperson will speak in behalf of the Maritime Council.
Sir, related to that, because if we look at the statement of E.S. Bersamin at that time, it caused a lot of confusion as to the statements that he made. So I wonder if adding another voice to the West Philippine Sea could cause further confusion, or is there a path towards, you want unified messaging, so is it on a path towards having just a single spokesperson on West Philippine Sea matters down the line?
Well, when the Council was created about 3 months ago, we didn't have any spokesperson for the Council. We did have spokesperson from the other agencies. And with the instruction that the spokesperson will now speak on matters of policy, I see the wisdom of the Council's guidance to have a designated spokesperson. And I would suppose that this will also address perhaps some shortfalls in the way we project the message to the public.
Sir, can you expound on the shortfalls, and how will the appointment of a National Maritime Council spokesperson will address that?
It would be clear that on matters of policy, it will be the spokesperson of the Council. On operational level, the spokesperson of, let's say, the Armed Forces, the Coast Guard, shall continue to speak within their respective mandates. So I think that is where the delineation of the functions of the spokespersons.
Sir, last question on my end. How will the flow of information go? Because you mentioned that Admiral Lopez will speak at the policy level, no? But there are individual agencies that are part of the Council. So can you just walk us through the information flow also for our guidance and the public's awareness?
Yes. As a matter of fact, the different departments, the heads of the different departments are also members of the Council. So when the Council convenes or meets, whatever is being discussed, it is being relayed to the spokesperson to speak in their behalf.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have. Vice Admiral Lopez will be available to the media in the coming days, so we will be seeing more of him. So thank you to General Centino and Vice Admiral Lopez. That concludes our press briefing this Tuesday. Thank you, Malacañang Press Corps. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.